We'll throw some slides in a couple seconds, but I've been in the industry for 30 years now, and we all have different ways and paths to success, and we all have different challenges to get to where we are right now. For me, I started a long time ago thinking this industry was going to be easy. I think many of us actually joined this industry thinking this was going to be quite easy to get an opportunity to develop a lucrative career, make a lot of money. I had been in a wholesale position for 4 years in brokerage and jumped into a position where I became an insurance producer, thinking this would be the easiest thing in the world. People would be waiting for me to buy product. People were waiting by the phone. Sadly, as many of us know, that actually wasn't the case. It was a very stressful period of time. I still remember the stress that I had when I began my career. I remember not wanting to fail my wife, my business, myself, my family. And it really was a very difficult time. And I think actually, looking back, it was that day and those days that really gave me the drive to say, I will do everything I can to work really hard to make sure I never get back to that place again. And so in this industry, we have to fulfill our commitments to our parents, our family, our loved ones, our community, our contracts. And in our business, we're never really given a roadmap as to what is the pathway to success, nor do we ever find ourselves in a position where we are told, maybe this isn't the right career for me. You know, there is and all of us, we are in this business for a long time, there is no clear definition of what is the definition of when do we reach success, nor do we leave. And you can linger for many, many years in this industry trying to say, am I supposed to be here? For me, though, that date happened very, very quickly. See, I had chosen to join the insurance industry because I live in New York City. And for many of you, New York City, thank you, is a very expensive place to live. And I'm sure many of us come from places where the standard of living is quite high. And I made the leap from wholesale to retail because my wife had a good living. Stacy was making a lot of money. She said, I can take care of us while you learn what you're going to do. And this was great. But what happened is, 4 months into my career, right after Thanksgiving, which is a holiday in New York, where in the United States we celebrate families, loved ones, I got a call from Stacy the following morning at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning saying, you're not going to believe this. The company I worked for as a manager for the last 10 years, which is purchased by a company from France, I lost my job. We have 3 weeks draw in New York City. It's all on you. Your turn, and that was not what I was expecting. My path was changed that day because I didn't have the luxury of learning the trade any longer. I had to survive. There were so many days in the beginning, as you know, the long days. There were so many nights when you're not sleeping, you're worrying, did I make the right decision? And there was no end in sight. And so for me, that's what I had. See, it all changed that day because I was it. It was on me while she figured out what to do. And thankfully, she got a starting a company. It actually proved to be good for us, but it was frightening. I no longer had the luxury of what to do. I had to survive. I've come to learn that I had a skill set. I knew one product. One product for 4 years. All I did is I studied one product, teaching agents, which in the United States is individual disability insurance. For many of you in your countries, similar to critical illness coverage. For us, it's a very big product in the USA, and I knew how to do that. And so I knew how to get to a lot of people really fast, but the problem is how do you differentiate yourself? And for me, my challenge was that I only knew one product, didn't have a full category of resources. And in my city, there are literally millions of people that people are pursuing. So what I did is I said, you know, I need some help. And there are other producers in the agency that have clients. They don't know how to sell this product. Why don't we partner? And they said, great, let's do this. And we actually started partnering. They bring me in as the expert. I close policies. They look over their clients. We divvy up the commissions. We split up the commissions. And I was staying alive. But it really wasn't going anywhere. And I was really frustrated. I was giving second thoughts to being in this industry. And I called one of my good friends up. His name is Maury, and Maury came from Europe. And Maury had come to America, in my opinion, the American dream, because when he came here, he had nothing. He did not have a job, he had a skill. But several years later, his skill was he built braces for orthopedic surgeons. Simple one thing, he just knew one thing, one industry. And I went to go have lunch with Maury, really looking just to complain to Maury, saying, what do I do? And Maury said to me, David, I got a simple answer for you, and it's really that answer, the question he gave me that led me here to be with you today. 30 years ago, he said a simple little thing. David, residents in hospitals are starving. Call them up, bring them some pizza, they'll talk to you. I didn't think it could be that easy. It was just not possible. That could be the solution to something. But I went to visit one of my friends and I work with. I said, let's just call up some departments at hospitals. And we found a hospital. We said, you call that department, I'll call that department. We spent a couple of days calling, and we found that we had secured 10 lectures for 2 months, and we saw 300 people. And we sold dozens of policies simply by going in there and talking to them. But what we found is that by doing this, we created unintentionally a replicable process. We found out how to call them, how to contact them, what their objections were, what their pain points were, what they were looking for, and we were just being walked in. And in fact, unintentionally, we were actually being given the opportunity to say, well, you must have spoken to dermatology last week, you must be okay, come and talk to us. And so by prior experiences, we were finding that we were getting in the door. So we worried about today, we started calling, we focused on our strengths, and we said, well, we're like everybody else. We're calling 1 week, and next week we see on the schedule there's another insurance company there. We said, this is not making sense to us. And so we said, let's call hospitals. And so we started calling hospitals, and we found that the prior experience that we had in the past gave us the repetition, the understanding to make what was unfamiliar to us familiar, and we were able to pass that along to the actual hospitals themselves. And so when we called hospitals, they said, oh, you know how to address the needs of our doctors. Oh, you have experience working with them. You know how to introduce the service without disrupting their day-to-day. And it really worked and helped us well. So after about 6 months of calling me, the hospital said, you know, this is really interesting. Come and see us. We're really concerned in our country because of the exposure to HIV. Being stuck with a needle in a hospital, converting to a HIV positive condition and being uninsurable for your career. This is exactly what we were doing. And so we went to go see them, we talked to them, and they said something really interesting. They said, this is good, go talk to our broker. Because hospital administrators don't want to talk to us, they have other people they already work with. And so we called the other producer, we called the other broker, explained to him what we want to do. We found that he found value in what we had to offer. He liked our experience. We said we could save them tens of thousands of dollars, which we did. And I had the good fortune of calling up several months later my wife and telling her, you're not going to believe this, I think we're going to be okay. I just sold 130 policies today. And in one groundswell, we sold 130 policies. We really liked that. It felt really good. And we said, let's just do some more. The hospital bought X amount of benefit. And we said, well, they're eligible for more coverage. Can we introduce supplemental coverage? And they said, does it cost us anything? No. Don't need to payroll deduct? No. Sure, go do it. And in 3 weeks, we sold another 33 policies. And so we secured over 160 policies. The beauty of this all is that the past events and experiences that we had with this were the building blocks for our future successes. And what we found is that, well, that hospital liked it, maybe somebody else would. And nobody in our industry, and I'm sure in your industry, wants to be the first one to stick their toe in the water. They don't want to be the first one to test out a new product. But once you have credibility in a marketplace, you're a recognized provider, doors are open more quickly. And so we called hospitals, and in the next year, we sold 300 policies in one hospital. 6 months later, we sold 900 policies to another hospital. And in our best early years, we sold 1,700 policies in less than a year. Purely this one product, one market. From this, we understood that we could actually develop a business structure based on this. That's how do you introduce it, how do you define it, how do you communicate it, how do you do it in the least disruptive manner. And this process we continue on to this day. We've yet to exhaust our opportunity. And we find ourselves now in the United States with voluntary offerings for hospitals that encompass more than 35,000 professionals, medical students, residents, and fellows. We have 50 accounts in the United States, institutions, and we have sold 10,000 individual policies simply by this. So we now have a client base. And what we found is that by doing this, by focusing on one product and one market, what we did is we learned their language, we learned how to approach them, we had credibility, but more so, we differentiated ourselves from our competition. We're just trying to sell anybody anything. by saying, we understand you, we look at your world, we want to be a part of your world, that is credibility. It's saying, you know our world, you know our language, and we have always looked to position ourselves as a solution provider. And so what we found is we defined what made us, us. What makes you, you. We found a market that worked for us. We found something that really worked on. We're going to continue to do this until we finish exhausting our population pool, which after 30 years we've yet to find. And it's working well for us. And we continue on. Last year alone, we sold 1,000 individual policies, and I don't think I'm done yet. And so in the time we have to share together, I want to talk with you about the steps involved with this, how to define if you think there's value in pursuing one market. What are the considerations you need to have? What are the steps associated with that process? And I hope at the time that we have to share together, this helps you determine, does this make sense for you? So like anytime you take a hike up a mountain, you figure out where do I want to get to, how long I'm going to give it, what kind of supplies do I need to have? You need to define your path. You know, if you don't, not only can failure get in your way, but so can success. Now, failure, the implications of failure are really easy. You leave the business, you burn obligations, you can't meet your commitments. But success has implications as well. And it's really important to understand where you want to get to. Because success can lead you to having to hire more people than you want to, have more complex practice than you want to, be away from your family and loved ones more than you want to, not do the things you want. So it's both sides you need to consider when doing this. So the questions I want to start this process with to ask you. One, do you have a vertical market? You know, in your client base, do you have a set of institutional clients or prospects that you work with? You have credibility in the market immediately. You also probably have sold them the same product, which also becomes something you get referrals from. If not, do you want to consider pursuing one? You know, we are all told, at least I'm told, that it's easier to sell a second policy to a consumer than get a new client. You know, if you have a referral opportunity, it's great. If you don't have a commonality, pursue one. You know, we have the luxury in our industry to be more free and have the freedom of choice than any other career that I'm aware of. We have the opportunity to choose who we work with, how we work with them, when we work with them, where we work with them. We have the luxury and freedom, if we are successful, which being all Mdrt members, we've reached some certain degree of success, to build our world and define our world. So if you don't have a natural market, go build one. You know, and it's so easy. Don't be afraid of doing it based on one product. You know, I went to my first TOT meeting about 8 years ago. I was so embarrassed. I felt so out of my comfort zone because here I am surrounded by all these advanced, sophisticated salespeople, advanced sales techniques, and I just sold one product, one market. I just sold a lot of them. And I was feeling bad about myself until I went to go to the main platform and session, and there was an Mdrt member on the main platform. He said, there are 2,000 Mdrt members in this world at the time. And he said, the only thing that proves is that there are 2,000 pathways to success. What you do is no less valuable than what anybody else does. It's a matter of, do you take care of the consumers? Do you address their needs? You also have to say, what is the industry that I like? We have the permission and the ability to work with the people we want. Find people that connect with you. You know, what is the specific solution you offer? You know, I would never go into advanced life sales, and second to die policies. I would never go into succession planning. It's not what I'm built for. What solution can you offer a market, or what solution have you proven to offer a market? Also, how much time are you willing to devote? You know, I've started on Jim Collins, a great author in the United States that I read. He wrote a book called Built to Last. And he talks about BHAGs, bold, hairy, audacious goals. That you set these goals so far that you'll never get there, or they're so significant to you that they're intrinsic, they're inside you, there's no way you can plan for them. I've set a goal for myself that actually probably my successor may complete, but that's just me. Your path, how much time are you willing to devote? What is the cost of it at all? Time away from home, time away from family. We also need to say, who do you want to spend your time with? You know, it is really, this could be the worst job in the world if you don't like your clients. You know, you can find and work with people that you connect with. For me, I love human resource people. I like them. They are empathetic. They are thought-provoking. They are concerned for the welfare of others, which for me is an interesting conversation. I also love working with doctors because physicians are involved with technology. I'm fascinated by what's going on in our world, the abundance of technology, the disruption it's causing. and I like to travel. That's my world. The last thing in the world I want to do is work with somebody who is analytical, who is contract-oriented, and is an office-based meeting. That's not me. So you have to ask, who do you want to spend your time with? Who do you want to be with? You have that luxury. If you do that, you work with people that you like, you will never work a day in your life. You know, how many people say to you, why do you work so hard? The answer should be, I don't work at all. You've got to like the people you work with. It's also have a clear vision and challenges. There are people in this world that want to climb to Mount Everest's peak. We all know the implications of that, but people are driven for that. Not everyone wants to. Not everyone wants to see Everest, and that's really okay. A lot of people would be happy to go to Base Camp 1 and see the nice view of the valley below. And the compromise from that, they're not living in an environment without oxygen, you're spending time with family. There is no right choice. You need to define what you want to do and see if you can get there with this. And so, looking at this, you decided who you want to work with, what your product knowledge is, what's the industry you want, how long you're going to give it, do you need other people, you have your equipment and tools to take a walk. And so let's start a walk. The first step that we had when we took a walk is establishing a toehold in the market. A local market that's accessible, reachable. It doesn't matter how big, actually it does matter how big or small. It does matter how influential or non-influential, but not for reasons that you may think. You know, we have found that small is good. We found that by focusing on small institutions, easier access. You call a big institution in your area, they have their brokers in place, they have their consulting firms in place, their business is so complex, they will never give you the time of day. But you find the people who appreciate your attention. You find the people who need your attention because they may not have the budget or the credibility or panache to have the consultants calling on them. We've also found that in small is good, there are fewer barriers to entry, and they welcome you in. You know, they are happy to hear from you. They appreciate you share your time and your talents with them. And what they also do is they teach you their world. They teach you the issues they face. They're looking for help. They're looking for solutions. You learn when are they approachable, when are they not approachable. We work with hospitals in America. I will never call a hospital in the month of October or November because they're doing open benefit enrollment. You learn their world. You learn their language. And so by working small, you develop a client base. No matter how big or small, how much money or not, all of a sudden, you're in an industry. If you're a name, you can start referring around and you start referring up. You focus on their pain points, you learn their world, you learn their language, you start to understand their terrain. So as you start this walk, you start developing a presence in it. Do what we do. Subscribe to all their journals. Subscribe to all their newsletters. You know, we view ourselves in the healthcare industry and we happen to sell insurance. You know? But learn what they know, learn their worlds, learn their talk. You also need to have patience. You know, anytime you call on a big organization, dealing with stresses and multiple issues, they're always ready to hang up the phone or show you the door. You know, I, by the way, never want to ever call someone on the phone because it's easier to hang up the phone than show somebody the door. But when I get to them, I'm very aware that they're suspect of me like all the other people who called on them, and I want to sell today. I want to make a decision today. And so I use this phrase, and I hope this helps you in some way. I love saying this to people, although it's come back to haunt me sometimes. The best clients I've ever had, those relationships take between 1 to 4 years to develop. Now, I don't want that to be 1 to 4 years to work with them, but I'm sending them a subconscious message that I'm going to be here when you want me to be here. I'm going to be ready when you want me to be ready. Don't worry. Now, they appreciate that. Actually, I have fun with this. So sometimes we're calling on people. I'll call people with a 2-year mark, say, oh, we're halfway there. We're halfway there. Now, I have some people I'm still after for 17 years, and I'll get them. But, you know, be patient. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. And so as you're doing this, the importance is to start expanding and strengthening your stance. If you are actually starting a walk up a hill, you want to widen your path. You want to deepen your footholds. You want to start showing them they matter. The journals are important. We go to industry conferences. We actually go to their industry conferences, not to prospect, but to learn. You're seeing there, learning what they're being taught. You're having conversations with them afterwards. You position yourself to be able to speak with them intelligently. Your clients see you there, oh, he must care about what we're doing. The referrals prove to come later. You also, whatever we also do, is anytime we see, because our territory is, I'm working from my home area to 5,000 miles away. I'm covering a 5,000-mile territory in what I do. I never want them to think that I'm far away. I never want them to think I'm a stranger. So we read newspapers consistently, looking for any kind of natural event, calamity, opportunity, business shift, change, legislation. We actually have people in the office, their jobs are to read communications in those newspapers, the markets where we are, to find out and say, oh, here's an interesting article, thinking of you. Leave it at that. Reinforce that they matter. I also use this phrase too, if you're going to start working on a large, broad-based basis. I want you to treat me not like I'm 1,000 miles away, I'm 1 mile away. Never let them be aware of the distance, ever. Reinforce your commitment to them by visibility. Expand your value. You know, we were working with the residency programs in America. We were providing these young doctors in training coverage. We had about 14,000 doctors at the time. And one of our hospitals said, hey, we have an issue here. The market for our medical students changed. Can you help us? We didn't prospect for it, but we were there as a trusted advisor, not pushing them for that. They came to us, and in a one-year period of time, we secured 13 medical centers in America with more than 4,000 new prospects. It just continues on like this. Reinforce your stance. Find a secondary product that matters to them. Find another source. We are told, sell one policy, policyholder, sell two policies, clients. In America right now, we have an issue that I was starting with insurance. I've been doing insurance for 25 years, finding less and less consideration for insurance. Now all of a sudden we're finding it's loans are the biggest fear. In the United States, average student loan debt is 1.5 trillion American dollars. We're meeting young professionals with between 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, $600,000 in debt. What do they care about protecting their income? They're afraid how they pay back $600,000. So we've actually skewed to services to address that pain point right now. We've expanded our value, we've deepened our presence, we've raised ourselves above the competition by, again, living within their needs, and we are a solution provider. I love that phrase. I am not a salesperson, I'm a solution provider. I'm here to help you address a problem. I want to find a solution for you, okay? We're not salespeople, we're solution providers. Also, when you determine how far you want to walk, or technically in our phrase, how large you want your territory to be, have a clear idea in mind. It may be 50 miles radius, it may be 500 miles radius, it might be across the oceans that you go. We have found it's an effective tactic that once you've defined the boundaries, don't be afraid of pursuing the smallest possible client at the furthest possible direction. They're very easy to service, not a huge time commitment. But what you've also done is you've expanded the perception of who you are, that you can actually reach out that far, that all of a sudden you're not a local company, you're a national company. You know, I have traveled to 1,500 miles to southern Alabama, sitting on the Gulf of New Mexico, to speak to 8 anesthesiologists. I flew to Hawaii, 5,000 miles, to see an oncology practice lecture for 1 hour and turn around and go home. Because now I can say, I'm in Hawaii, I'm in Alabama, I'm that bigger. And what that does, that expands the perception of your reputation in the industry. Now you're no longer local. Oh my goodness, they're doing something right. They're working in Hawaii, they're working in Alabama, they're working far away. That gives better credibility. It also gives you the opportunity to cross-market, to meet more vendors, and to backfill those areas. We never go to a territory where we don't have intentions to be. But don't be afraid. Small clients are easily serviced. Small clients increase the perception of who you are. Don't focus on large markets. When I started in my industry, I was told by my manager, and for those of you who may know the baseball analogy, you know, make your mistakes in the minors before you play in the majors. Practice your trade, practice your talk, practice with smaller institutions. You can forfeit, hopefully not, a smaller institution. Don't forfeit an opportunity to work with a once-in-a-lifetime client. Make your mistakes, learn your pattern, learn your approach, learn your materials by working small. And so once you actually start climbing and raising, we found that as we grow, we're very conscious that as we grow, we don't want to be perceived as just, oh, I'm just the next sale on their succession plan. You need to start shifting and moving away from acquisition to focusing on client management. We actually find that we actually start bringing on more people now. We're less concerned about policy sales as client satisfaction. Once you've actually secured a position, protect it. Do what you can, raise your visibility, attend their industry conferences. write articles. Actually try to partner with a client to write an article or do a study in their journal. The best thing in the world you could ever do is have a piece, not in an insurance article, periodical, magazine, have one in their industry. Or get someone to say, this is a great idea. Offer them, would you please come to your local conference, your regional conference, your national conference, help me tell your peers about this. You're being perceived now as a solution provider, not a salesperson, and you're not selling them, their peer is. And it's worked magnificently for us. We actually now do more and more and more working to create and retain visibility. We also are looking to reinforce our industry credibility by sponsoring events in industries, trying to actually create education events for these institutions, anything that raises your visibility. We also now are looking to develop newsletters, podcasts, anything, again, that reaches out to people. When I started in the industry, this didn't exist, iPhones didn't exist, fax machines barely were starting to show up. They don't exist anymore. We're doing rate books for calculating rates, mailing in the mail, proposals. We have the abundance and the blessing right now of having technology at our disposal. We can reach great, great distances instantaneously. Mailing lists, communications. Don't forego the opportunity to stay as visible as you possibly can with them. It reinforces your commitment to them. It also reinforces your credibility in the industry. Expand your resource and presence. Right now where we are, we've reached a point that we are finding it's much easier to take our client base and say, we have X amount of doctors, find other vendors and collaborations that we can have with other entities, and say, can we cross-refer them back with each other? And so our marketing now is that going to the clients themselves. The clients have other consultants that are valued by them, that don't offer the services you offer. Seek out and look for collaborations with other entities that work with your clients right now. Don't be afraid of them. You can also approach these organizations and say, hey, we both share this client. Let's talk about working together before someone else calls the client and you and I lose this opportunity. So we actually look to try to expand our resource. We collaborate. Also, it's been said and asked of me, am I doing the right job and doing right by these individuals? Because all I do, one product. There's so many other products to sell out there. What do? Well, we all know that in medicine and all your fields, there's so many specialized areas. If you don't have the knowledge, you have two choices. One, develop it yourself. Three, actually, develop it yourself. Hire someone internally to do this, or collaborate externally. And there's different implications of what to do. If you actually internalize it, you have control of the client. You control the message. You control the branding of who you are. But that also creates a problem. You need budget. You need money. You need management. You may not want to do that. It is very valid to collaborate with external resources, because actually when you start collaborating with other vendors, what do you get to say? I don't work with these hospitals, I work with these hospitals. I work with such a much larger group. Oh, I work with that consulting company. And so what we're actually doing now is we're looking specifically to create strategic relationships with centers of influence in our target industry. For us, what we do is we look for, because we work with young doctors, medical students, residents, and fellows, we look to work with individuals who are going to help them get a mortgage when they graduate, and help them move, an attorney help them with a contract, a recruiting company help them evaluate their implications, a student loan refinancing company. You find people that don't threaten you, but increase your perception of who you are with the clients. And so collaboration for us is imperative, absolutely imperative. Now, I want to tell you that if you do this and you choose to do this with other people, for me, you don't get there alone. You don't get there alone. I could never do what I've done and currently doing without the good trust and confidence of an amazing group of people. We've built our friendships and our trust in our family over the years. My right hand is with me 25 years. Another individual 21 years, 17 years, 16 years. We have a family collective that we understand our strengths, our weaknesses. What we all do is we have the same commitment to the same path. And so if you're going to do something like this, you're going to choose a market that you want to go, make sure that you get good people with you. And when you find them, do everything you possibly can to keep them happy. And it's not about money. It's about what do they want in their lives, and listen to them. How can you give them an environment where they can volunteer their times with you and they won't think to go anywhere else? Is it money? Maybe. I have somebody, as was shared yesterday, She and we live in New York State, and just north of New York State, there's a beautiful area called the Adirondacks. And every year in the Adirondacks, in a place called Saratoga, there's magnificent horse races, and she's a horse person. She said, in my contract, I want to know on the Thursday and Friday every August, I don't have to work. I want to go see the races. Go, do it. You know, it's more valuable to have a great person, even part-time, than a person full-time who's unhappy, because they'll leave, and then you start from scratch again. Team is everything. Show them respect, learn from them, be grateful for them. I actually tell my staff, they want me to tell them all the time, I say, I am nothing without you. They say to me, tell me again. And I take that, it's okay, because I think we all recognize that we have that kind of rapport, but team is everything. Every step along the way is a lesson. If you don't make mistakes, you're not pushing hard enough, okay? Make mistakes, learn from them. Don't make fatal mistakes. Don't outstrip your capital. Don't make promises you can't make and complete. But every step is a lesson. Every conversation you have is a lesson. What we have today here is a lesson. Learn from the clients, be in their industry. When you get higher, the advantages are you're more effective. If you start building out a team of individuals who are doing things, they focus on the day-to-day, you can have a better vision. What better vision allows you to do is it allows you to see market trends. It allows you the freedom to talk more with your clients who will tell you what is the next product that they're finding right now. And also, you can see your competition coming from the valley, way, way below, well before they get there, and prepare for them. High ground is everything. We've seen this throughout history. So let's say you want to do something like this. Let's say you're in the middle of doing this already. You said, you know, I've got the skill sets, I got the market, I got the time, I got the drive, I want to do this. I understand the steps, I think. Where do I get started? How do I begin? And so, I want to share with you some words that were shared with me by somebody. He has no idea this resonated with me 19 years ago. He's not in our industry. But what this man was, he was a ski instructor in Colorado. You know, my daughter was 5 years old. We were in Vail Mountain in Colorado, Rocky Mountains. I was re-embracing the idea of skiing, which I hadn't done for years. We found ourselves at the top of this mountain. My daughter is somewhere down below. I'm at the top of the mountain, something called mogul fields. Now, if you watch the Olympics, you see these people skiing down these mountains, huge bumps, their knees are going up and down, they crash, they burn, terrible. And I'm standing on top of a mogul field. I had no business being there. And I said to the instructor, I don't want to be here. What do I do? I'm really uncomfortable being here right now. And he said to me, David, I want you to imagine this. You get this big bucket of green paint. You take this bucket, tip it over. Watch what happens. See, the paint's going to roll down the mountain, it's going to hit that bump, it's going to curve over this way, it's going to go over at that one there. There's actually a natural flow to things. He said, follow the flow. Don't fight the mountain, be with that mountain. And it mattered to me, he said that. And I've tried to do that every day. If you're good at critical illness, why are you going to pursue advanced life insurance sales? Disability insurance, why am I going to do pension work? Follow your flow. There's a market pathway in your clients and your knowledge, follow that. And so I would suggest to you, trust yourself, look for your natural flow. This one thing. I'm not going to do less slide. Anyway, follow your flow. Trust yourself. Don't look too far down the mountain, because that can scare people as well. One bump at a time. But I actually ask you, enjoy the view as well, because this is the best industry to possibly be in this world. So, thank you very much. Last slide.
Okay, team, we would like to open up the floor for questions. So there's two speakers just on either side here. If you would like to come up to those, we could have one question per person. Maybe mention your name and where you're from. That would be awesome. Who would like to start? Do you want to go over to just a little so we can hear you? Lovely, thank you.
Thank you for David.
You're welcome.
If I'm not wrong,
Yes.
you say that we have to focus about some product.
Yes.
If we focus from one or two products, is that make our market is limit? I'm sorry, my English is
No,
not so good.
I understand. So you're
Yes.
saying by focusing on just one product,
Yes.
does that limit your opportunities?
Limit our opportunity for our market. That's all.
Possibly. It depends on how large the market is and if you have enough prospects in that market to get to where you want to be. A similar question was asked yesterday, that how do I find a market? What is the right market? Now, for me, you want to have enough prospects, but you also want to find a market that's not contracting. But if it is contracting, it could also be a market that's contracting because it's consolidating, that larger organizations are buying up smaller organizations, so there may be fewer prospects, but still the same number of individuals you want to work with. We believe that disruption is good. We believe disruption, change is good. Whenever we see organizations merge, something's happening internally that I'm happy to share with you. They're consolidating human resource departments. The result of the 2 human resource directors or benefits managers when organizations merge, 1. And that new person who survives wants to look good in the eyes of the new organization. So they're going to be looking for new solutions. They're going to be questioning the benefits that they have because they're protecting themselves. So consolidation is good. If you get in that market, as we say, it's easier. You know their language, you know their world. You can also align with somebody else to say, hey, this prospect may need that service. Will you come and help me with that? Much like when I first started. And you can create a secondary revenue source with a skill set you may not have or want to direct your time to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Thank you. Sir?
I'm John Elsey from Garden City, Kansas, home of the world's largest free concrete swimming pool.
Very nice to meet you.
And David, I really want to thank you so much for the tremendous talk you gave this afternoon. It's worth my trip to Australia. However, I was curious, you mentioned this book, Built to Lead.
Built to Last.
Or Built to Last. Who was the author on that?
There's 2 authors. The one that's really notable to me is Jim Collins. He also built to Last, Good to Great, and there's a 3rd book, the name escapes me right now, but really good author. Really, I love his thought process and his philosophy.
Okay, so Built to Last by Jim Collins?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry?
So it has to be connected. Okay, my name is Kanakor from Thailand,
Very nice to meet
and
you.
I really like your presentation today, and I would say we share the same kind of market because my clients are also physicians. And I would like to know what to do other than attending the conferences that physicians attend. Is there any other techniques that we can expand our market?
I would say collaborate with other organizations or individuals who are also in that market, that you can cross-refer one another. Depending upon the size of your client base, it may be very appealing to somebody else who works in the same industry that doesn't threaten you, and all of a sudden you can merge your 2 focuses together, and they can very quickly expand your marketing opportunities. So I would say collaborating with other organizations would be a strong opportunity. We also, some of our clients now, we conduct focus groups. We actually say we'd like to understand, are we meeting message as well as we hope we are? Would you please come, we'll have some lunch, and would you bring some of your friends too to understand, and we can get their feedback as well. You're very simply becoming a solution provider or curious about the right solution to not only your clients, but other people in a very non-threatening environment.
Thank you, but I would like, do you have an example of the collaboration you made?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we find that our focus is, and I can speak for you, our focus is on young doctors. The earlier the better. We want to get to them in their school, we want to get to them during their residency programs. So these are individuals who are about to go through a significant life change. And we look to companies where they're going to need resources. So perfect example is we work with recruiting companies. We look with physician recruitment firms who are always looking for candidates to refer to their jobs and their opportunities. So you basically have a natural, if you're working younger doctors, a younger prospect pool to say, hey, I have 500, 300, 1,000, whatever the number may be, doctors. Could maybe we arrange a lunch or some sort of a seminar where you present, I present, you invite your clients, I invite my clients. So we've actually done that a number of times, and it's worked well. Also, working with recruiters, they not only know individual doctors, they know the recruitment managers at hospitals. So they can actually walk you into institutions. So the younger we get to them, the better. People more in a state of disruption and life change creates more need and awareness of need. So that helps.
Thanks a lot.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Sir?
Good afternoon, Brad Rain from Fort St. John, British Columbia, Canada.
Good afternoon.
I live in a small town, population 20,000. I'm intrigued by the idea of vertical market, but I'm not sure how to even define it. So you spoke about this, but I'm wondering if you can elaborate that. How am I going to define a vertical market? How am I going to utilize this?
Very good question. Very good question. I guess it has to do with if you're in a small market or with a small community. Hats off to you for your success in that. You may need to expand, you may need to move to other organizations or other areas. It may not make sense to you. If there's no one specific industry in your area, again, it may not make sense to pursue this. But if you have the opportunity to access populations, maybe in a larger urban area or going to in British Columbia, is there an opportunity to go to Vancouver and plant the flag in Vancouver, go to Kelowna? It just really depends on what your client base is like. If you're a specialist in the area, find more prospects with that specialist, so long as you're willing to pay the cost of the distance of going to see them. Welcome. Sir?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Great talk, by the way.
Thank you.
I'm Jonathan from the Philippines. I'd like to ask if, what would you advise? We have new financial advisors fresh out of college. At what point in their career should they focus on a specific market?
Focus.
After they're meeting their contracts without any great concern. I think that it's okay though, you still need to make the calls, you still need to make the sales, but there's nothing to really stop you from focusing your calling and solicitation efforts on an industry. Because referrals get easier, you have established a credibility by just working in their industry. When we started, I was less than a year in the business, and all of a sudden I could say, oh, I work with Department of Orthopedics there, Department of Dermatology. I wasn't making a lot of money, but I could say that I worked there, and that automatically raised my reputation in their eyes. So as long as an agent is making contract and driven to make calls, earlier the better. And one other thing to suggest as well, there was a man, American TV, he's retired now, I don't know if you know, Jay Leno. He was an American show called The Tonight Show. And I remember seeing The Tonight Show because his father was an insurance agent in New York City. And this man was a comedian, just amused America, but he was really sad that day because he was on the air the day his father died. And he was talking about his father, and he said that my dad was in the insurance business, and he was really a driven man because what he did is when he was a debit agent, he was literally knocking door to door, calling on people, and he was a prudential. He went to his manager and said, what is the worst territory possible where no one goes? He said, I want that one. So there's another book too, from a friend from Kansas, and I'll swim in that pool one day. There's another book called Blue Ocean Strategy, that find a blue ocean, find a market where there aren't a lot of predators, a lot of people, everyone's pursuing the same prospects. Differentiate yourself by finding something different. We differentiate ourselves by selling disability insurance to doctors when everyone's going after life insurance. Now we're looking at loans because no one's talking about loans. So find a new market, find a product that's underserved. Don't be afraid to make a commitment to that territory. That's the best.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Any more questions? while you're making your way up there, I've got a question if I may.
That actually I don't remember, but I love the book.
Yeah, she's just making her way up to the microphone. I have a question if I may.
Certainly.
What's the lead-in time that you would averagely have between going for a particular organisation that you've been targeting for? What's the lead-in time for you? Average.
In terms of getting to them right now?
Yeah, to close them, to bring them on.
Literally no. The larger the institution, the longer it takes. It probably is between 1 to 4 years, actually about 1 to 1.5 years. But that's because when you're working in our industry, hospitals, you need the initial meeting.
Yeah.
You need to establish the need. You need to get them to give you information. Then you need to come back with recommendations. They'll always tell you they're wrong. You'll go back and you'll get something else. You'll come back. They'll say, okay, I like this. And then the bigger the institution, the more you need to deal with political levels. They will then bring you to their leadership and their leadership and their leadership. And so a lot of times we have a sense that we're going to close the opportunity, but it's just going through the process to create the need, firmly decide this, have them represented up, and then develop communication. So about a year, 1.5 years at this point in time.
I admire that tenacity. Please.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you for the time.
You're very welcome.
My name is Rizka from Indonesia.
Nice to meet you.
I have 2 questions for you. Actually, your specialization is about hospital
Yes.
is matched with the current company in my country strategy right now. The focus the company is right now is in the hospitalizations. But many people say that if we focus to the hospitalizations, we're gonna be very busy in the future. What is your opinion about that? And the second question is about, actually I have not focused to my strategy right now, but I have considered to, I have heard many people have said that we better to make a focus to our sales or our strategy. But focusing is not easy. Which one do you prefer? Do we have to focus to what the product or the strategy that we like, or the strategy or the product that easy in the market that we are now?
Okay.
Thank
Question.
you.
Is your manager here now?
Sorry?
No. I go for that. You say focusing on hospitals or hospitalization, you're being told that there may not be more opportunity in the future?
I think it was for more opportunity in the future.
It's going to be very busy because we're going to handle with the claim and the claim. It's compared to the life and critical illness, we only have the claim just only once.
For me, what we do is we view what we do as a client acquisition strategy. We develop the relationship as long as we can have the money to continue to grow and thrive. No product commission is too small. It's more important to have the relationship because that will lead to the next opportunity. If there is a lot of administration associated with processing the claims, try to find a way to bring on somebody to take care of that for you. I do not intentionally focus on health insurance in my country because the paperwork requirements of that are just absorb all of our time. So we look to align with people. If the practice calls me or a doctor calls me for health insurance, I give it to somebody else. No. In terms of one product, one market, and working with the people, the product that's easier or people that you like, products come and go. People don't. Markets change. People are long-term. If you like a product, that's great. It may change tomorrow. So I would say if you have the capacity, build a world around the people and the community that you feel empowered to serve, to support. That I think gives you more longevity and more sense of joy and purpose, that when you start your day, you're excited to do what you do as opposed to having a job. So but again, I don't know your world, I don't know your environment, I don't know your income, where you are in life, but for me, I have the luxury of saying that now, but if you have a choice, I would say focus on the people you want to work with. Everything else will come after that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay. Once again, one more, go for it.
Malaysia.
Hello.
May I know what exactly do you sell to the doctors? Is it group insurance, or do you see the doctors personally and sell them individual plans? And if you do, because they're very busy, how do you actually schedule their times? And usually they're working overtime, and if they're free, they want to go back or rest or spend time with the family. So how do you actually do that? And do they give you a place to talk to them, or do you have to schedule a place that you meet them out of hours or something like that?
Okay, thank you very much. Our product that we sell is an individual long-term disability policy that the doctors can be purchased or offered or provided by their institution, or have the opportunity to purchase through a program sponsored or recognized by their employer. We do no group coverage unless the hospital asks us. That is an incidental product that we sell. The reason for that is that we work with young doctors, and in our country, and I can't speak for how it is in your country, that they move around a lot, and they're so concerned about getting stuck with a needle back in the 80s, and then there was hepatitis C, there was drug-resistant tuberculosis, there was Zika virus, we still have in the United States now, swine flu, SARS, and all these constant conditions that these young professionals are exposed to. And when they leave, group insurance is built in such a way you can't take it with you. And so the pain point that we're addressing is that you as a young professional are exposed to conditions that will render you uninsurable when you leave here. Your group benefits do not go with you when you leave. You have the right to take this with you. And your hospital has recognized us to be the service that they choose to provide. To get to them is very difficult. Actually, we don't, I mentioned before, I don't like appointments. We never make appointments. We go when we live in the hospitals. We will go there and see people, call on people. We give departmental lectures. We still bring food to this day. We bring donuts in the morning. We recognize we may go to a hospital and not sell anyone for a day, but normally the 3 people you thought we were going to see last week, one of them will see you this week, say, oh, I meant to see you. And you become part of their culture, especially in medicine. It's a very close community. You're either outside or inside. They are being solicited by pharmaceutical reps, they're being solicited by everybody, but if you become part of their world, you're part of their family. So for us, it's about creating impressions, about being local, being visible. We lecture a lot. We also look at, from a seasonal basis, when do we lecture? We do a lot of work in the springtime because everyone in at least the United States, they all graduate July 1. So they're starting to think about portable benefits. That's when we call them. Call them in the summertime. Actually up until July 1. In the summertime, the new residents are there, they're clueless, they've just relocated from medical school, they don't know what's going on. The hospital's disruption, you have 30% changeover, even lower. So we find the seasonality of the market, and we find that every department in a hospital has a residence room. They have a rest room. We use those rooms to lecture. We actually want to take applications in as public places as possible. Because what we're doing is we're creating impressions that we're the guys, we're the people there. So we go to the cafeteria, buy them a cup of coffee, we go to the resident room, we'll go to the lecture room. We never want to do business in a closed, quiet area. We always want to take advantage of the impressions we create. Now, when a doctor says, I've been up all night, we have an expression in the United States on post-call, or I've done night float, which we know their language. And so the doctor say, I'm sorry, I've just been up through that. Oh, you just done your post-call after night float? We'll talk to you later. Because what you're telling me, I know your world. So we pick our points, we pick our rhythms, and we just be patient. And if you have a large enough population in the hospital, you're the people, you're the ones that we work with. And so individual disability insurance to address the portability pain point of doctor service. We like working with young doctors because we're told that people in their lives by 7 times, right? Want to get the youngest possible policy. Get them at a young age. They're going to grow, they're going to increase, they're going to move, they need more. So that's the policy we sell, and that's how we do that.